Hi, we're here for video number 3, what to do during the show. Now, hopefully by now you've gone ahead and you've prepared perfectly with preparing your booth. You've got it looking great and you've got all the pieces, parts, and elements, and you've got your materials, your offer ready that you're going to give out to those who are attending the show, and you prepared yourself. You got a good night's rest, you've been eating well, you're mentally ready with your expectations. You know that there's going to be brides there that are going to buy what you sell. So now we're showing up for the show. I'm going to give you 5 items that I want you to focus on during the show. First and foremost, show up as early as you can. Don't wait until the last minute. If they say the show opens at 11 and you know it's only going to take you an hour to set up, show up at 10. No. If anything, show up the night before. Show up as early as you possibly can. Get the thing set up so then you can take a breather in between. Because inevitably, people forget things, things break, or it's just nice to not be the guy that has all your stuff strewn out in the middle of the aisle trying to set up, and you've seen that person. And you're trying to get your booth together and look good, and then this guy's still putting pieces and parts, and he's sweating and grunting and hurrying and everything else just to add stress to the thing. So show up as soon as you can. Number 2, after you're all set up, I want you to go eat something. I want you to wash up. I want you to get yourself physically better, drink something. And always, by the way, keep mints and water at your booth, or water and soda, whatever it is that you drink that keeps you going. Just don't drink so much that you have to keep on taking frequent trips to the potty. Now, most bridal shows have natural breaks where you can go use the restroom if you're working the booth by yourself, or even if you're working it with multiple people, to where you can take a breather, like when there's a fashion show. But plan on just being there by yourself and busy the whole time, and that you're just going to have to break away at some point, but break away as little as possible. I also, number 3, I want you to look the part, so you're dressed well, your clothes are pressed. You're not just showing up and wearing a golf shirt and jeans. I want you to show up and look professional, like especially if you're on show the day of the wedding. I want you to look the part of what you're going to look like the day of the wedding. You're all ready, you've eaten, your booth looks great, your materials are there, everything's ready to rock and roll. They sound the horn, and in comes the influx of prospective clients. I want you to do what I call the 3-3-3 method. Now, this is something that I didn't tell you to prepare for, but I'm going to teach it to you now, and I want you to prepare for this by practicing this method with at least 10 different times with a couple different people. The 3-3-3 method is this. You've got 3 seconds to capture their attention, after which you can ask for 3 minutes of their time. Everybody that's there has 3 minutes, and then you can ask 3 questions during that time. So it looks like this. Let's pretend that you're a cake manufacturer. You've got 3 seconds to capture their attention. Hi, have you ordered your cake, or have you bought your cake yet? That simple yes or no will suffice, and that's what they'll give you. Yes, I've already booked. Great, enjoy the show. No, do you have 3 minutes? You ask for 3 minutes of their time. Now look, if they don't have 3 minutes, I don't want you spending the rest of your life trying to convince them to take 3 minutes, because the rest of the process is going to be just as hard. So just say, enjoy the show. If they say, yeah, I've got 3 minutes, now you can ask them 3 questions. Here's what 3 questions in a nutshell look like. Number 1, have you done this before? Have you ever been married? Have you ever had to buy a cake? Have you ever had to hire what I do before? Number 2, what were you hoping for? When you think of the grandiose idea of the best, fill in what you do, what do you see? And then number 3, are you trying to avoid anything? Now, after you ask her those 3 questions, you should have a good idea whether or not you should have another meeting. Then at that point, you simply say something along the lines of, sounds like we have need for another meeting. Perhaps we can do that next week. Not sure what your schedule is. Most brides like to meet outside of the show because they need to see so many other people while they're here. How's your schedule next week? And it's as simple as that. Here's what it looks like start to finish. And by the way, again, this is all on the audio course, which you should have downloaded and listened to by now. If you haven't, please do. All right. Hi, have you purchased your DJ yet? We're going to go and we're going to talk as though we're a DJ. No. Do you have 3 minutes? Great. have you ever hired a DJ before? Most times they haven't hired a DJ, and that's fine. And then you have to say, you haven't? Great, no problem. You have? Great. What were you hoping for in hiring a DJ this time for your wedding? Did you have some idea of what a DJ is supposed to perform, or you've seen one that you've liked before? You've seen, and then question number 3 is, what were you trying to avoid? You don't want a guy coming out dressed in a chicken outfit or doing goofy stuff, being the star of the show. Okay. By the way, these are 3 questions that you can use on your phone interview when you finally get the bride off of email and on the phone. So another little good bonus from this session. After she finishes with that, sounds like we have need for another meeting so we can get a little bit more in depth. Most brides want to finish up looking at the show. How's your schedule look next week? And then you go in and you try to schedule them for an appointment. More than 60 to 70% of the brides are going to say, oh, I didn't bring my calendar with me, even though they schedule it on their smartphone. But you've got to then be prepared for that so that you can get their information where they will pick up the phone and sync up your calendar the week after. After the 3-3-3, that's 4 of the 5 things I want you to do. And then number 5, this seems simplistic, but every show I've seen and been to, you've always got somebody. But number 5 is stay until the very end. Because I've seen where brides are they got there late, or they were just busy with something else, and they are trying to maze through the people who are tearing down, and they actually get angry about this, and they'll book one of the competitors of somebody else. So stay until the very end. And I mean, listen, I understand you're tired. I understand you want to get out of there. Maybe you want to beat the rush at the loading dock, but it's not worth it. You paid to be there for 5, 6, 7 hours, whatever. Be there for as long as you can and see as many brides as you possibly can. Now, if the show promoter comes in and says there's no more brides, you can all tear down, that's a different story. I've actually seen where weather hits or something happens to where you're just cut off from any more clients. If that's the case, let them dictate. But until that happens, stay until the end and work the show. When you do these 5 steps proficiently, you're going to have a big list of brides to follow up with, and hopefully a ton of appointments from maximizing your exposure at the show.